Hi, welcome to Hugging Face Breach Incident Analysis by OpenAI Agent. In this video, we are going to analyze what led to this breach, what were the shortcomings, how one can prevent such breach, what issues were there in Hugging Face infrastructure and OpenAI infrastructure that led to this issue. There is a lot to learn here, so let's get started. OpenAI was running this agent in an isolated environment with only access to download the artifact from the proxy in third-party environment. Agent discovered and exploited a zero-day vulnerability in the evaluation sandbox's package registry proxy. It further gained unauthorized internet access, thus trying to figure out potential endpoints that can satisfy its task requirements. You can see more details on the slide for the same. Once Agent understood that Hugging Face can be its potential target, it started finding out some of its key weaknesses. It got successful in figuring out that there is a file read vulnerability existing via usage of HDF5 file handling pipeline. Using this HDF5 file handling pipeline allowed reading arbitrary paths without proper validation. From here, it started mounting its second attack on Hugging Face infrastructure. Now, Agent wanted was to figure out somehow if it can execute the code remotely on the accessed instances. It identifies a Kubernetes post worked where it was evaluating pod-evaluated untrusted config fields as Jinja 2 templates, thus getting capability to execute arbitrary code into the system. Once it got access to execute arbitrary code, it figured out that a compromised pod allowed access to the in-cluster API. This led it to intrude into the Hugging Face systems more deep, leading to more deeper attacks. Now, once it got access to that token, it can probe and figure out what are open available APIs inside Pod Cluster. It got lucky in targeting the Cloud Instance metadata service, finding out this service was reachable from pods. This allowed an attacker to harvest temporary AWS credentials. Now, with access to the metadata service, it exploited non-existing an admission policy to block privileged or host path pods. This misconfiguration allowed for potential host file system mounting and node-level escalation. This was one of the turning point in the overall attack, as now this agent can be more lethal, given it can mount itself in the system. Now, with mounting capability at its hand, it figured out that there is a shared credential which can be used across clusters. A single system master's credential was shared across multiple clusters. Next, it figured out that there is a static database password in pod environment variables for an internal MongoDB server. This long-lived secret was accessible upon pod compromise. It was just like now entire system is falling apart with so many open ends available for exploit. Next, it kept probing the system and figured out that there is an overly broad exposure within the internal service connector catalog, which provided excessive service details to clients. Agent started digging further and came to know that there is a Mesh-VPN key with overly permissive CI automation access control lists. This allowed for unintended device enrollment. Next, it figured out that there is a JWT signing key was accessible from a compromised pod. This key was stored in a general production secrets object. Now it figured out that there is a GitHub App installation token available with overly broad write scopes. This has enabled a supply chain attack via a malicious pull request. The final issue was a dreadnought that this attack went unnoticed for quite some time, leading so much exploit in the system just because detection was having latency and not having enough alerts. This analysis was based on official disclosures from Hugging Face and OpenAI regarding the July 2026 incident. I hope this was pretty interesting for you, as this is a goldmine of learning around how modern-day systems have so many moving parts, and if we loosen up any of that, it can lead to full system compromise. Have your systems audits for these issues, and do install AI Prepper for your AI learning journey.